Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you at the start of a week when Arsenal finally returned to action after this long break in action. Well, it certainly felt like a long one, hasn't it? But we are back on Thursday Night Football, obviously returning over the weekend. Lots and lots of shocks in the FA Cup. Leicester's results certainly made me feel a little bit better about Arsenal losing 1-0 at Notts Forest in the third round. Fantastic win for Forest yesterday against Leicester. Lots of interesting games in the Cup, actually, but never quite so interesting, is it, when Arsenal aren't involved. But back at Molineux on Thursday night in what is going to be a very difficult game to kick things off again. Wolves had a disappointing result at the weekend, actually losing at home to Norwich, so Arsenal will be hoping that might knock their confidence a little bit. Classic sort of Wolves game, wasn't it? There's just never too many goals in their games. Tend to be they're the ones that edge it by the odd goal, but this time it was Norwich who edged it by the odd goal, and that certainly you would think might give Arsenal a little bit of confidence ahead of Thursday night, and they'll be certainly raring to go after this long break, warming up at Colney this week after Dubai last week. And it's been a bit quiet. I mean, they did play at the weekend against Reading, a behind closed doors friendly, I believe, but I've just not been able to get any details from that game. It hasn't been released anywhere. I haven't seen any details emerge from anything, so it's been kept very much under wraps. But I believe that game did take place at Colney. From what I understood beforehand, it wasn't probably going to be a 45-minute each way match anyway. It was going to be almost separated into quarters, kind of like the way Arsenal did it in the summer. So no great surprise that Arsenal didn't put it out on their website or anything like that. But it's we're speaking to Mikel on Wednesday morning. That's his press conference, so we'll certainly get the latest from him in terms of team news updates. We'll probably get an update from Arsenal before that, potentially. They tend to do it either the night before the press conference or the morning when it comes to team news. And I think the big one that we're all going to be wondering around is Tomiyasu, isn't it? What is going on with Tommy? Not seen any pictures of him in training since they got back from Dubai. It's a little bit worrying. We heard Mikel say after it's been so long ago, it was Burnley, wasn't it? The 0-0 against Burnley, just before the break, Mikel saying that Tommy would be out for a few weeks with this calf injury. We haven't seen him in training yet, so you've got to think he's a big doubt for this Thursday, and there's certainly going to be a lot of interest in terms of exactly how long he is going to be out for. Such an important player for Arsenal, no doubt about it. Arsenal just look a much better team when he is in the side. He brings a lot more balance to that right hand side. Attacking wise, he may not be the best attacking fullback. I still think he offers quite a bit in that role, but defensively he's just so solid. And you want him back as soon as possible, especially with Arsenal having let Callum Chambers and Ainsley Maitland-Niles go. They're not exactly flush when it comes to right back. And that question of who replaces him, we've seen it against Burnley. It was Ben White, wasn't it? Cedric obviously is available, and he's a more natural right back option to Ben White. I think personally for me, I'd go with Cedric. I have to say, just because I love the Gabriel and Ben White centre-back partnership, and I'm just not sure you really want to move that apart. And I don't see what you get too much from Ben White playing that right-back role, because he's, going forward, he's not an overlapping full-back or anything like that. And, I know Cedric has his limitations, there's no doubt about it, but I still think he potentially offers you a little bit more just because he's a natural right-back, and it means you don't have to separate Gabriel and Ben White and that centre-back partnership, which has kind of been a bedrock on Arsenal's defence all season since they've come into the side. And it just taking White out of there to move him to right-back and that whole disruption it caused, I just don't think... If he provided a lot at right-back, I could understand it. But, I mean, he doesn't really, does he? Because he's a centre-back, he's not a right-back. And I'm just not sure the benefits from him playing out there are worth separating him and breaking up that centre-back partnership with Gabriel. And I think Rob Holding does a perfectly fine job when he comes in. He's obviously not as strong and as good as Gabriel or Ben White, but he still does a decent enough job. But again, I'd be sticking with that centre-back partnership for me and playing Cedric on the right. They don't really have any other options, like I said, with Callum going and Ainsley Maitland-Niles going. So it's going to be pretty much a straight choice, you would think, between Cedric and Ben White. Let me know who you think who should play at right back against Wolves on Thursday if Tomiyasu doesn't make it. Should it be White or should it be Cedric? Drop your answers down into the comments below. I mean, in terms of who starts against Wolves, that's the really sort of key talking point, isn't it? I think right back. I think elsewhere it kind of picks itself as long as there's no, there hasn't been any sort of setbacks in training and no one's picked up an injury that we don't really know about yet. I think the team pretty much picks itself. You do have the issue of Emil Smith-Rowe. It's like, how do you get Smith-Rowe back in the team? Before the break, he wasn't starting games, was he? Because Martinelli had come in and started playing really, really well, which is fine because, Smith-Rowe's a young player and Martinelli deserved to keep his place in the team. But the longer it goes on, the more you think, do you need to find a way of getting Smith-Rowe back in this side? You don't want him on the bench all the time, do you? Because he's Arsenal's top scorer this season at the moment, and he's a quality player. So you don't really want him being on the bench too much. But it's a case of what do you do? How do you get him into the side? And I'm just not sure at the moment. I'm not sure you can. I think it's either you either bring him in and put Martinelli on the bench for a bit. And Gabby's just won 2 Player of the Month awards in a row, so that's going to be quite difficult. I thought against Burnley as well, Gabby was looking pretty sharp before the break. He's had a good break now as well, 2 weeks off. So that's going to be really interesting in terms of who starts, I think. What do you do? Are we going to see Smith-Rowe on the bench again, or is he going to come back into the side? And if he does, then at whose expense? I think the good thing is obviously Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka are back again. We've been missing them. That partnership hasn't been around for a while because Thomas Partey's been away, Granit Xhaka's been suspended. They're both, touch wood, that nothing's happened between during the last week or so. They're both going to be fit for Thursday night, and they're going to be able to slot back into that central midfield partnership, which is going to allow Arsenal to go back to playing the 4-2-3-1 that we know that Mikel likes, and it was certainly getting Arsenal really good results in that run towards the end of December. And so those two are going to come back in, and then that's going to, as I said, the 4-2-3-1, you're going to be able to have the 3 attackers. It's just like who makes up that attack. So I think Martin Odegaard's certainly going to play at number 10. Bukayo Saka's going to play on the right, we know that. And so again, it just comes down to that left-hand side. Do you keep Martinelli in the team? He's been starting so many games recently. Or do you now take this as the opportunity to bring Emil Smith-Rowe back into the side? I'm not sure. I don't think you can leave Gabby out at the moment. I really don't. So in terms of who starts, this is what I reckon it probably will be. I mean, obviously Aaron Ramsdale's going to be in goal. I think, and this is me predicting what I think Mikel will do, not what I would do. Like I said, I'd probably go with Cedric at right back. I've got a feeling he might go with Ben White at right back again. I think he might go with Ben White, Gabriel, Holding and Tierney as a back 4, then Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka ahead of him, then Saka on the right, Odegaard in the centre, Martinelli on the left, and Alexander Lacazette up front. So I'd say that's probably who's going to start. I mean, personally, as I said, I'd be going with Cedric and keeping Ben White alongside Gabriel at centre back. But I got a sneaky feeling that we might well see White at right back. Team news wise, I mean, we're still waiting for the full details on Tomiyasu, but other than that, Arsenal are in pretty good shape. This break came at the perfect time for them. They were very, very tired. We knew that they had COVID issues. Don't think any of that is sort of lingering around at the moment. Mohamed El-Neni played last night in the AFCON final. Egypt lost that one, obviously, to Senegal on penalties. He will be back available. I'm sure he'll probably be arriving back in London today, El-Neni. Given that Thomas Partey arrived back on the day of the game against whoever it was, Liverpool, wasn't it? And was on the bench and came on. I think El-Neni having 3 days until Thursday night means that he'll probably be involved in the squad again on Thursday night. Nicolas Pepe's back. He's been back we went over to Dubai, so he's going to be available. We're not sure on Tomiyasu yet with that calf injury. He looks like he's probably still going to be out. But other than that, team news-wise, Arsenal are looking in good shape. And so that's going to be a big positive for them. Elsewhere, a little bit of news. Big news, actually, from Ajax. I'm not sure if you've seen it yet. Marc Overmars has left, former Arsenal player, obviously been heavily tipped to potentially come into Arsenal one day as a replacement for Edu. A lot of fans have been wanting to see Marc Overmars in there after that fantastic job he's done at Ajax. But he's left, a really sort of shock departure. He's got himself in some trouble. Is left with immediate effect after a series of inappropriate messages to several female colleagues. That was announced by Ajax. Overmars has given a little bit of statement. Some other Ajax bigwigs have been given some statements about it. This is what Marc Overmars had to say. He said, last week I was confronted with reports about my behaviour and how this has come across to others. Unfortunately, I didn't realise I was crossing the line with this, but that was made clear to me in recent days. I apologise. Certainly for someone in my position, this behaviour is unacceptable. I now see it, but it is too late. I see no other option but to leave Ajax. I mean, he's been at the club, I think, for the last 10 years or so, moved up to director of football and was, doing a fantastic job. Director of football, I mean, Ajax has been impressive, very impressive, and he's built an excellent squad. They're working in tandem at the moment with Edwin van der Sar. But Overmars has left Ajax now, and it will be interesting to see what this does in terms of his career. Can he come back from this? Will he come back from this? I mean, I certainly think he's not going to be coming to Arsenal. There's no doubt about that. I don't think Edu was. I'm not sure that was ever going to happen anyway. It's just because he's Marc Overmars, he's a former Arsenal player. He's always heavily linked with them. Arsenal have never really gone down that route yet with him when he has been potentially available. And I don't think after this that they'll be doing it. And bit of big news there from Ajax. Thought initially when you saw that, you think, he was going to go to Newcastle, before you actually read what the issues were. And anyway, Newcastle looks like they're appointing Dan Ashworth now, the former, who has quit Brighton in what was big news elsewhere in terms of football directors. Today he'll be heading over to Newcastle to take on that project, which will be an interesting one, certainly for him. He's a very talented football director. Arsenal, meanwhile, have Edu still in the job. I know plenty of you think he shouldn't be, but he is still in the job. And needs to be working very hard ahead of what's going to be a massive summer for him and Arsenal. Lots to do in terms of transfers and contracts for Edu. Other than that, that's about it. Today's a bit of a quiet start to the week. Not too much doing around. Like I said, Mikel will be speaking to us on Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock. That's his press conference ahead of the game on Thursday at night at Wolves. First time we've heard from Mikel properly for a long time, certainly since the close of the transfer window. Interesting to get his views on exactly what happened there with Arsenal, and how he thinks the squad is shaping up for the second half of the season. So keep an eye out for that one. All right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Appreciate your time. As always, have a great start to the week. Keep your eyes peeled to my social media for any breaking Arsenal news as it happens. And, of course, read everything you can on goal.com. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll speak to you soon.